It's a sunshiny Saturday, June 26, 2004. The hometown cable cameras and microphones, Calvin Castine and myself, Gordy Little, have headed to the high peaks of the Adirondack region at the base of Whiteface Mountain and the home of Santa's Workshop, North Pole, New York. Not only to take a new look at this place, which has been in operation since July 1st, 1949, but to honor our good friend, the late Arto Monaco, on what is being called Arto Monaco Appreciation Day. Could there possibly be anyone viewing this program who doesn't know who Arto Monaco was? He was a legend in his own time and died at age 90 last fall, just a few days after we helped him celebrate his 90th birthday at the Memorial Library in Upper J, New York. Many people have been thinking about Arto, trying to perpetuate his memory. Memorial foundations and funds are set up in his memory, and today Dr. Adria Gibbs, who is the general manager of Santa's Workshop here at North Pole, New York, has decided to pay a little tribute to this wonderful gentleman who did so much for kids and adults alike. And during the process in this opening day, they're going to admit people from Clinton, Essex, and Franklin counties into Santa's Workshop for half the regular price, the regular gate price, and $2 of that admission price will be given to the Arto Monaco Foundation. But of course, people will be visiting today from areas outside Clinton, Essex, and Franklin counties, and they'll also have $2 from the regular admission price given to this foundation. Initially, this foundation had hoped to do some pretty spectacular things to preserve Arto's memory, like rebuilding the castle from his famous land of make-believe, which would have celebrated its 50th anniversary this year, and many other things. Who knows what the future will bring? In the meantime, contributions are coming in large and small to help honor that gentleman. There goes the train, engine 1225. They're waving for the camera as they go by. So we're going to go inside. We're going to talk to Dr. Gibbs. We're going to find out a little bit about Santa's Workshop, because the hometown cable cameras haven't been here since the late Bob Venn and Calvin came up here quite a few years ago. I think you'll enjoy what you see no matter what age. Stay with us on our little corner.
Stop, don't look at mine.
And we are on the inside, and yes, the sun is bright, and don't you wish we could actually assist our viewers in feeling the temperature, because there is a little bit of a breeze blowing today. I would guess the temperatures here are about 65 or 66 degrees, but you remember that old Beach Boys song about California girls? We got a California girl with sizable goosebumps today. Dr. Adria Gibbs, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you very much.
She is the general manager of Santa's Workshop here at the North Pole in Wilmington, New York. And you've had that position for how long, Adria?
Since August last year. So this is my first opening day with the park.
But are we having fun yet?
I'm always having fun. When you're working for Santa Claus, who can't have fun? It's a great place.
It is a nice day, and just being inside brings back tremendous memories for me. And this is a day for memories, isn't it? Because we're honoring Arto Monaco.
Yes, we are. Today we are having Arto Monaco Appreciation Day, which is our kickoff to what we hope next year will be a grand celebration. And anyone who comes to the park today, $2 from their admission will be donated to the Arto Monaco Fund. And we're looking to actually develop a permanent monument here on the property to Arto's memory.
I did not realize until 10 minutes ago, before we started filming, that you had actually met Arto and spent some time with him just a little bit before he died last fall.
I had the wonderful fortune of being able to spend quite a bit of time with him before he passed away, and he gave me so much information, so much insight, and a lot of good laughs, I could tell you that. We really sort of hit it off, and I was fortunate to find a mentor, if even for a very short time.
Arto Monaco would have left a legacy had he only lived to the age of about 35.
It's true.
But he lived to be 90 years of age, and there's a legacy that has tentacles in every country in the world. This morning, just for fun, before I came here, I typed his name into my favorite Google search engine, and sites jumped up from everywhere. And people's comments who had been here as children at his place and at this place down through the years. Isn't it wonderful?
It is amazing how many lives he has touched, and it's even more amazing to me as I get to meet more and more people within this community and then that far outreaching areas, how many people he touched. I've talked a lot with some people at IAPA, which is the International Amusement Park Association, and they are enamored with Arto and all that he's done. It's truly enchanting to be touched myself by something that he had a hand in, which was the start of the theme park.
He was an amazing, wonderful person, way more sensitive than your initial impression of his persona would indicate, because he loved kids and he loved animals and remembered the name of every animal he had in his Land of Make-Believe park. The reason we're here today and to celebrate his memory is because this was just about the original theme park in the entire United States. And it was a very special day on July 1st, 1949 when it opened. The North Pole is right behind me. If you wondered why Adria is shivering, there it is right behind me, the North Pole. But you know, it started out as a man's dream as he told a story to his daughter, and his name was Julian Rice.
Correct.
And it was a few years in the thinking stages, as most things are.
Linda.
And in 1949, it opened for the first time. Don't you wish you could have been here?
I do wish I could have been here. The pictures and the stories of that opening day are just wonderful to hear. And that's something that we would like to be able to recapture in part. You can never go back, but you can always learn from those experiences and you can build on them, and that's what we would like to do in Arto's memory and for all the children that believe in Santa Claus, whether they're 2 years old or 99, we want to make sure that that's happening for them.
Just by way of history, you told us a little while ago that you lived in California. You were involved in Disneyland.
Correct.
For a while. You went to Taiwan.
Yes, I did.
Talk about a circuitous path through life.
Well, I was in India a couple years ago, so.
So how did you end? You got your degree in communication.
Correct.
We understand that. But how did you end up in North Pole, New York?
I suppose it was kismet of type. I had returned from India after a year over there working as Director of Entertainment and Operations Development for a theme park in India, based at Ramoji Film City, which is the largest production studio lot in the world. They have 2,000 acres there. And when I returned from that, I wanted to bring a lot of my experience and expertise and what I gleaned from other people internationally back to the United States. And this opportunity presented itself, and it looked like it was going to be a good mix, so I applied, and now I stand before you in the North Pole freezing today.
You know, and it's quite a challenge without getting into the entire history of the North Pole. It did start out as the original theme park. Arto Monaco was connected with more theme parks than you could write down in all these pages that I brought with me today, because he just had his fingers in so many things. The day he died, he was involved in about 15 major projects. But this place, Santa's Workshop in the North Pole, is not only legendary, but it had some challenges a few years ago. And the great supporters in the North Country and people whose kids had spent a lot of time here through the years were very worried that it might go by the wayside. We're so delighted to have an opening day even before July 1st on June 26, 2004. So that's got to be exciting for you too.
It's very exciting. I know the park had some rough times several years ago, and the community was wonderful and really rallied around it. And because of the love and the support for this park and for all it stands for, we are able to be here today celebrating this wonderful day and being able to honor Arto.
I'm not sure that we'll break attendance records today. That would be nice.
It would be great.
When this theme park opened on July 1st, 1949, there was something like 220 people through the gates. A few years later, about 1957, I think, it set an all-time attendance record with over 14,000 people.
It's a lot of people through these gates.
If we could have a few thousand today, that would be just terrific.
It would be fabulous, and the park is starting to fill up, so that speaks well of our opening day today.
Well, it's an exciting day for all of us. First of all, because Calvin and I have spent countless hours with this man, Arto Monaco. We've done a number of full-length feature documentary television shows with him, which survived, thank God. And one of them, a bittersweet occasion, was just a very few days before he died, for that birthday party that we mentioned at the Memorial Library in Upper J. So
right.
This man has touched our lives for a long time, and your life now that you've been here in the North Country for a little while, and you'll feel that impact for years to come.
I know I will. He gave me a tremendous gift in all the information that he shared and imparted with me, not just about this park, but his vision for children and his belief in entertainment, hands-on entertainment, interactive entertainment, and really bringing something to people on a level that is these days often lost.
There are so many people, and now official groups have unbounded enthusiasm for the memory of Arto Monaco. You would like to establish some kind of a permanent memorial here at Santa's workshop, wouldn't you?
Correct. That's one of the things that we're doing today, is we're raising money towards being able to put a permanent monument here on the property in Arto's memory.
There are people who are talking about recreating that famous Land of Make-Believe castle, because the Land of Make-Believe would be 50 years old this summer. Hard to believe that. And it just rose from the ashes, so to speak, of those springtime floods over and over and over again, until one year in 1979, Arto Monaco said, "I can't do it anymore," and it closed. I read, just before we move on with this interview today, Adria, I thought you'd get a kick out of one of the greatest quotes of all time. Arto Monaco was on his deathbed a lot of times before he finally cashed it in. One of those times, he could barely open his eyes in a hospital bed in Wilmington, Vermont. And he opened his eyes weakly and saw a priest giving him the last rites. And he raised a hand and said, "Stop! I'm not going to die in Vermont. Bring me an ambulance." They brought him an ambulance, and he came home. He said, "I'm going to die in my beloved Adirondacks." And so he did. Is that kind of neat or what? But this is,
it's phenomenal.
That's a capsule in a nutshell of the way the guy was. He was gregarious and at sometimes tremendously outspoken when he loved things.
Yes, he
and
was.
Exactly the same when he didn't. And his opinions were well known to anybody who was within 100 miles of him. But we're here to celebrate his memory for Arto Monaco Appreciation Day. And Adria, we thank you so much for allowing us.
Thank you for coming.
This is really hallowed ground, you know.
It is, very much so.
Stay with us. I think we're going to have a great day. It would be easy for me to say the sun always shines on Santa's workshop at the North Pole, but it really does today on this 26th day of June 2004. People are coming in marveling at seeing Santa's workshop for the first time, and some who've been here time and time again. Doug Waterbury, how are you?
I'm well, sir. How are you?
I'm just terrific. Tell us how come you showed up here today.
Well, I am here to help Santa and his elves make a place for the kids to enjoy for the future, and I'm just playing a small role in the process here and trying to give him some
we
assistance.
want to know what the role is.
Well, I'm his head elf, I guess. That's my role here.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Are you from this area?
Actually, from Oswego, New York. So we're having a lot of fun and really enjoying the process here, and really love children and families, and and I'm a real nostalgia buff, and so this really meets a lot of our needs and helps us stay motivated and focused to support this wonderful place.
How did you first learn about this place?
Gee, it's interesting. We visited here in 1998, I believe, on Columbus Day weekend, and we had a wonderful time. And then shortly thereafter, we saw in the paper that it was available for purchase, and we came back up and started talking with the people, and were able to come to some arrangements to help the pole and to really bring it back to its former glory. So we're playing a small role here, but we think it's important.
To say that there were some tenuous times for Santa's Workshop may be an understatement. And now we can look back and say, thank God for guys like you who came along to decide to get involved, because it would have been tragic to see it go by the wayside.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because we absolutely agree with you. We really think that this is a wonderful place. We recognize how important it is to children and their families, and lots of folks with lots of wonderful memories here. We also think it's important in light of how fast times are moving and how busy everyone is, to try to have a place that supports children and families and also allows them to slow down a bit, have some real time together, and develop great family memories. And we recognize the importance, and so we're just thrilled to be involved in helping in any way we can.
And how neat it must be for you to have this kind of a direct connection with the oldest theme park in the United States. Think about it.
The first theme park, absolutely, yeah. 3 partners many years ago brainstormed and came up with some great ideas and put it together. And again, we're just trying to play a small part in that role here to support it and allow it to continue for the future.
Well, this is a special region. You probably visited the Adirondacks before 1997, didn't you?
Yes, sir. We did actually. We've always thought it was just a beautiful area and just very scenic, and offers a lot of family activities and just a real wholesome family atmosphere and so on. So it's just, we've always loved Lake Placid and the whole Adirondack Park. We really support it.
What hopes and dreams do you have for this place? It's great that you're open again for another year.
Oh yes. Well, we're in the middle of a restoration right now. I think primarily our goal is to continue the restoration for a couple more years. Long term, I'd like to see further development. As you know, we've added some more rides and other attractions and much restoration. But a lot of our restoration has been kind of behind the scenes as well, and underground and all the infrastructure type things. We have long-term plans, though, to expand and grow the park, and with the blessings of the Monaco family, we'd love to formalize some kind of a redevelopment of the Land of Make-Believe, and so we're discussing things like that, but that would be a long-term potential plan.
Well, today we're here to memorialize this guy who did a pretty good job in memorializing himself long before he ever died last year.
No question. Living legend.
But if it weren't for Arto Monaco, we wouldn't be standing here, at least not under these conditions today.
No question. He was a true genius and a wonderful man, and had a heart of gold and loved children. And we as well do. My family, we have 4 children and are very family oriented, and Arto just loved kids, and so we really want to form a tribute here to him today, and help in a program to memorialize him long term, and hoping by next opening day that we'll have something more formal here in the form of a statue or a wonderful plaque and a memorial for him. So
well, the sky's the limit, and I'm sure many people watching this program in the months and years to come will want to become part of this foundation, will perhaps want to make contributions. Probably people hadn't thought about that aspect of it until now. As we mentioned before, when Arto first died, there was a groundswell of enthusiasm.
Yes.
But then that initial enthusiasm dies off as people get down to the nuts and bolts of trying to start a foundation.
Sure.
Collect some money.
It's challenging, and it really takes some folks who still love Arto and so on to not lose that dream, and to continue to work in that regard to bring it to reality. And long term, we have a vision to use this facility as more of a charitable organization, and to try to support families and children, as I said before, and maybe play a larger role in the country and maybe even further on. So we do have some big plans that are more philanthropic in nature. In the short run, we need to generate revenue, of course, to allow it to stabilize and to grow. But long term, it's absolutely going in that direction, and I'm again really excited about it. And there's a lot of entertainment value in helping out here. So we're enjoying ourselves.
Good luck with all of that. May the sunshine every day in the future, just as it's shining today.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thanks
I appreciate
for letting
your
us
support.
come here
It's
today.
very nice of you to be here to support the enterprise and to support Arto's memory, and we appreciate that very much, and it'll help it to continue for eons.
And if you think this constitutes a famous singing group,
Forget it.
I think you're just about one step off the base. Unless we were called upon under duress to do a chorus or two of We Three Kings of Orientar or Jingle Bells. We're here for opening day of Santa's workshop at the North Pole, New York. And we're here actually to honor and pay tribute to a wonderful guy and a good friend, the late Arto Monaco, because he's the guy who put this whole thing together a long, long time ago. So I'm surrounded by people who care. Linda Denton, how many times did we stand next to your desk as you made believe you were busy?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you really were and said, no, I don't want to go on camera. Well, we got you today. How are you?
Good, and you?
And daughter Carrie, how are you doing?
Great, thank you.
We were just talking about that wonderful show we did on Arto's birthday and how you people are finally getting around to watching it.
Yeah.
And
I watched it the other day, and now we can smile when we see him and not cry.
it's difficult, isn't it?
Oh, it's
There are
hard.
just so many memories, thousands and thousands and thousands of memories, not just because of your relationship with Uncle Arto, but because you were so directly involved in everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if you're still going there.
Well, it's hard to go there. I've been working my way back.
Have you?
I'm going to finish up a few things that he started. And hopefully they'll turn out halfway decent.
I said a few moments ago in one of the interviews that the man always had 15 major projects underway. The day he died was no exception. We're standing there talking with him 1 week before, and he's drawing us a map of directions on how to get into the old land of make-believe so we could take a few shots of it as we went home just to cap off the program.
Well, his mind never stopped. That's why I think we were awake 24 hours a day for him just to calm down, so that, because he'd get up in the middle of the night and just do the drawings, and he said, I want it done this way. And when he said, I want it done this way, that meant he wanted it done his way.
The man defined passion. He defined so many things. It's hard put. We would all be hard put to put him in a category, in one category, because there would have to be a lot of little boxes.
You
It would
can't.
start with a great guy in the middle and then work its way out to his love for animals and his love for people and his love for little kids.
Oh, God. It
and-
goes on forever with Uncle Arto. And everybody, you notice Cam, he calls him Uncle Arto too, and Ann,
We can
Uncle-
all
it's
call him
always Uncle Arto. because
I know you call him a lot of things too, Carrie.
That was always Uncle Arto.
It just happens, and I can mention this here because we all take pride in family. My grandchildren sent me this hat on my birthday and
number one,
Father's
yeah.
Day a few days ago because we have 20 grandchildren and 15 great grandchildren, and we're going to have another great grandchild.
Yes.
As Carrie knows, he's good buddies with my granddaughter Kelly, and they're going to have a baby.
Yes, very exciting.
She says early January. I say January 17th, but that's up for
is
grabs.
that your birthday?
No, my birthday was June 15th.
Oh.
I just make silly predictions. They're never right. How are you?
Very well.
I'm meeting you for the first time today, Ann McKinnon, right?
That's right, exactly.
And tell us a little bit about your connection with this foundation.
Well, I had the pleasure, the honor of writing an article for Adirondack Life about Arto. I've known Arto all my life.
And a wonderful article, I might.
Well, thank you.
I have it under my arm if anybody needs proof.
Thank you.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I've known him all my life, but writing the article gave me an opportunity and an excuse to sit down with him for a lot of hours and just get him to tell stories, which is something that he was unparalleled at doing.
That's
His
part of
stories,
the man.
he was the most amazing storyteller. But actually, before he died, he started talking with a few people about making sure that certain things from his life that are associated with his legacy and that people love and that mean a lot to a lot of people were preserved for future generations. And so I've been very fortunate to be able to do play a small role in that with Cam Eldred and John Kimberly. And so we're still working on coming up with exactly the right way to organize a nonprofit that would be in a position to really make sure that Arto's remembered respectfully and with a lot of humor and with a lot of love, and to make sure that his memory and the things that he created for the world are available to future generations, because we know there are more children coming along, like that great-grandchild of yours, who need access to those great things, and whose lives will be enriched.
Those are two basic words as they apply to the late Arto Monaco: humor and love.
Yes.
Right, Cam?
That's for sure. He had a great sense of humor. I was a longtime employee at the Land of Make Believe, and had a great time. Learned a lot as an employee, and I think that's one of the things. He's a great artistic talent, great creative talent, but he was also he taught a lot of lessons to all the hundreds and hundreds of people who worked for him. He had a work ethic born out of his formative years during the Depression, and he never let any of us forget it. And he could work any tough young guy in circles, whether it came digging a ditch or shoveling a pile of manure. He would show us how to do it, and we could never quite keep up.
And that was true when he could barely lift his arm to draw. His mind was still in the 22nd century, and that's what always impressed Calvin and I, because we spent many hours taping up there, as you know. Who do you think would have to take the breaks every hour or so? No, he didn't want to lose his train of thought,
And I think it may have been, and many have speculated, the fact that he truly had a passion for his work, and his work was his life, and it was really hard to his work had no negative connotations for him. It was a very positive thing. He woke up 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and went to the shop and pursued his passion. And some may have called it work, and probably couldn't be called play, but it was somewhere in between, and I think that kept him incredibly active and healthy physically and mentally. I think if he didn't have that discipline and hadn't pursued that life, probably one of his, setbacks that occurred 10 or 15 years ago would have been enough for anyone. But he was...
Talk about the cat with 9 lives.
Oh, yeah.
As we said so many times before, he just kept coming back.
Great stamina, and I think it was his positive mental outlook, and it was just it was a wonderful thing to be around and see and learn from.
And as we've said so many times before, it's not necessarily the goal to which we aspire, but the pathway. And it was the quest for Arto to go down all these different roads. When he got there, he'd just make a left, or as Yogi said, when you come to a fork, take it. And he epitomized just wanting to do things day and night, and it was never for fame and fortune. And even though we did a number of television shows with him, he was always humble right to the end. He'd say, "Shut it off, don't talk about me." I'd say, "Arto, why do you think I'm sitting here in the end of your bed watching old videos from 1954 to talk about you?" And he'd, "No, don't talk about me." So he'd rather talk about the kids. And as we said before, when we were showing those old movies, and thank God they still survive, and he would see a little donkey,
Know its name.
and he would know its name, and a tear would come in his eye as he would say, "Oh, whatever the name was." And
Estrelita,
and-
the wandering star.
oh my gosh.
I know.
And he knew all the kids as if they were his own. So isn't it fitting that you should call him Uncle Arto?
Oh yeah, no, he's a wonderful person.
And I was thinking driving up here, not that I was ever a very good cameraman, and especially in the old 8mm days when you wound up the camera, but I probably have several hundred feet of film from the Land of Make Believe with my big kids who are now in their 40s and 50s when they went to the Land of Make Believe, and maybe one day they'll they'll be shown on this program. So what's your dream for this foundation?
Oh, well, our dream is to honor Arto's memory and make sure that memory lives on for the children to come, and that they get a sense of the big picture of Arto's vision, but also that attention to detail, and that we're able to generate some of the love and imagination and keep it alive, because kids have there's not enough there are not enough things in the world today that give kids a real opportunity and encouragement to use their imaginations, and Arto did that. As imaginative as he was and as full of wonderful stories as he was, he would also encourage kids to just use their minds and express themselves artistically, and so we know that it can be an inspiration to other people.
Wouldn't it be great, Linda, if a little bit of the land of make-believe could occupy a corner of this property here?
Well, we've been talking about
at
it
some
just a
point
little while
in
ago.
time, so this next generation and the generations to follow can rediscover this man that we're all so enthusiastic about today, and see what a miniature castle. Huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He has a drawing. His last drawing he did is on his drawing table, was of a castle.
Oh my God.
And it's still there. It hasn't been
You're
moved.
doing this to me on purpose, Linda.
No, it's there. It's there. I know. It's hard for me to go over and look at it. So, you know how like Sid Cauchy said, this man not only could draw, he could build it. And to have those work in so many different mediums, and it's unreal. You know, it's unheard of a person doing that. And like Ian said about the creativity, he wanted to establish that in children, and the creativity, so they could go out and build these wonderful big things, whatever they're going to do, and the imagination. That's the whole part of his whole life was. He says, I remember one time he said to me, I've never done anything important in life. And
Can you imagine?
Yeah, well,
I've never done anything important in my life.
And when he said that, I said, but look how many smiles you put on kids' faces and how many adults you've made happy too. And that's the important thing in life. If you can do that when you come into this world, make someone happy.
Boy, I think that pretty well describes the bottom line for all of us. If we can love, find a little humor, make somebody else smile along with us and really mean it, and touch a young life in some way, but to inspire imagination. This man had imagination enough for all of us and everybody in the parking lot and 200 miles in the perimeter. We're not going to spend a lot of time today describing all the things he did, because we've chronicled that so many times in so many ways by Ann's article and all the shows we've done, all the times people have talked about him. But he touched not just this as the original theme park, but so many other theme parks. And I have to interject personal notes here, because I was shocked and thrilled and surprised to learn that my rodeo bull riding days and the fun that I had playing a cowboy, good guys and bad guys, at a place called Adventure Town was designed by this guy. And he stopped the camera and brought me the forerunner to what would be now a bumper sticker, before bumper stickers were even sticky.
Right.
And I got it in my drawer at home, and every time I look at it, who do I think of? Of course. What a guy.
Yeah.
We hope that all that happens. I can promise you from my own point of view that I will be living at least to the age 90, for no selfish reasons, but only so I can see this legacy flourish and expand from Arto Monaco. And I bet you all aspire to the same.
Absolutely, yes.
Very much. Thank you very much.
You think we'd miss this day? Linda, not on your
was
life.
debating a little bit. I didn't know if I wanted to come or... But like I said...
I would have bet a week's salary, which is only about that big, that you would have been here today.
Probably over in the corner watching and saying, oh my God, look at over there. We have to fix this, we have to fix that. Because that's the way in Florida. Whenever we traveled, it was always, we've got to do this, we've got to tell these people, they've got to see this. You know,
He could always see the end product.
Right.
He could always see the picture before he drew the first line.
I know. And you know what, it was scary. Because he said, okay, now I want you to take and do these backgrounds. And I'm going, what backgrounds?
Yeah, where's the background? I don't see the outline.
He says, well, wait, I'll draw them, and then you paint them. And I go, okay, I'll do that, but you got to tell me where you're going from there. You know, what's going to be in front of it, what's going to be in back. Don't worry about that. I'll handle everything.
He was doing something on 4x8 sheets of plywood one day when we were there, and he was frantically drawing the trees and a little raccoon
Yeah, we did for the ride.
For the ride, peeking on the side, and I just stood there with my mouth open. I must have looked like a fool because that's the way the man was. He could see the picture before
Everything
the lines
was,
were drawn.
yes, everything.
Well,
It was hard to follow. It really was. If you worked with him, you had to be on your toes every minute, and by the end of the day, you were frazzled. I'm telling you, you were frazzled.
and you're still frazzled just thinking about the guy, but the memories are delicious and wonderful. And yes, we'll outline some more before we finish today, Linda. Thanks
Okay.
so much.
All right, thank you.
It's wonderful to meet old friends and the brand new ones here at Santa's Workshop at the North Pole. Derek Muirden was just here from Mountain Lake Public Television. And Jack LeDuc is here from WCAX, Channel 3 in Burlington, a longtime friend whose 70th birthday we celebrated in Lake Placid with a surprise party organized by his wife and friends. He's speaking with Linda at this time, and with our good friend Sin Couch. He's been so much a part of this whole process, from the comic book honoring the memory of Tom Tyler to all the other things he's collaborated on with and without the late Arto Monaco. We've got creatures here at the North Pole. We've got dancing. We've got a lot of fun. When we first arrived here just after the gates opened at 9:30 this morning, there were only about 8 or 10 cars in the parking lot. But I'm happy to say for opening day 2004, on this 26th day of June, the crowds are growing, if not blossoming and burgeoning since the doors opened. And that's a good thing, because today not only do we honor the memory of the late Arto Monaco, who designed this place all those years ago, and it opened in 1949, but for all these young kids, we're celebrating a great Christmas and holiday season with all these characters. Look at this little guy right over here hugging the North Pole right around the corner. He's gone away. But we saw a little parade. We love the houses, we love the parades, we love the theme. We've been to theme parks all over the country, but none is nearer and dearer to us than the theme parks here in northern New York, especially Santa's Workshop here at the North Pole. It's an awful lot of fun. Some of the employees have worked here for many, many years. Look who just came out the door. The jolly old elf himself, Mrs. Claus, and the other elves.
I have to take with me.
We're inside a little theater, not too dissimilar from the beautiful little theater at the Land of Make-Believe. And as Linda Denton was walking inside here, she'd say, "Oh, I know where that comes from. I know what book that comes from. We did that sign, and isn't it beautiful?" And we're going to talk for just a moment with Sid about one of the tremendous collaborations he had with the late Arto Monaco, and it has to do with the late Tom Tyler. Wasn't that fun? Number one, wasn't that fun?
That was a lot of fun, and Arto, I admired him so long, and we'd had so many good chats together and compared notes and everything. But as I said early, it's a wonder that I took to Arto in the beginning, because he was unfair to other cartoonists. And for instance, he could draw a castle, I could draw a castle, but then he'd go out and build one. Or he could draw a stagecoach, I could draw a stagecoach, but he'd go out and build one. And cartoonists aren't supposed to be that versatile. But anyway, he was an engineer. He was just a many-faceted guy, very fascinating.
And an awful lot of fun. And these Tom Tyler Days comic books to honor the late cowboy movie star from down in Witherby and Port Henry, which Calvin and I have talked about a great deal, and to assist that museum to perpetuate his memory down in that other end of the world, was a terrific idea. And the comic book that you guys did together was just spectacular. Arto did the cover.
Yeah.
And you did the inside.
Right.
And Calvin wrote the script, which was pretty classic all by itself, right?
Well, I hate to say it on in person, but yeah, he did a pretty good job. Except that he had me clobbered over the head by my wife at the end of that. Well, anyway, we won't go into that. I've forgiven him.
Very
by now.
large frying pan, as I recall.
That's right.
I like Ruthie's back there grinning from ear to ear and smiling from ear to ear. She's the distaff side of this whole picture right here.
She can't wait to see what happens in the next one. I'm going to have a talk with Cal about that.
We'll first of all, we'll make sure you survive.
Yeah, well, that's a way of announcing that we're hoping that there will be number 2.
Tell us a little bit about that so far.
Well, I have the covers made, and I have about 6 pages of dialogue started anyway, and some drawing. This is a different, it's a different type of comic book in that Tom Tyler also did so-called serials, where you'd have an adventure in the jungle or in space, and you'd reach a cliffhanger, and then it would end, and you have to come back next week to see how they got it. Well, anyway, so Cal has decided to have 2 comic books in one. First one, you have your Western story, Tom Tyler as a Western hero, and then you turn the book backwards plus upside down, and there you have.
Okay, let's look at it. Yeah, what a great idea.
Here's the. First of all, the Western cover, Tom in his usual get-up, his usual horse, and looking out into a town in the distance where I'm sure there's lots of things going to happen. And then you turn it over and upside down, and you have this cover.
I thought it was going to be magically transformed for a minute there.
And I enjoyed this in a special way because I could go crazy with color. And doing comic books, they were mostly in black and white, line drawing. So when I got into color, then I really enjoyed this work.
Oh, that's really, really exciting.
And this is. It's you think it's exciting. Look at it, you should see what happens in these 3 planets. And anyway, he has a story well along on that, and he is now Tom Tyler as Major Courage, MC. See? Bigger than Superman.
Bigger than just plain Master of Ceremonies.
That's right.
Now, Calvin said, let's just show them exactly the way it will be. One side that way, flip it over, upside down, and we have Tom Tyler Tales 2.
And 8 pages or whatever of
Flip back to the cowboy one now.
And now flip back to the cowboy one. Oh, see? He's got the quick hands here. Look at this.
2 comics for the price
and
of
there's
2 comics for the price of
He
1.
never leaves the horse when you turn him over.
Well, that's something to consider, actually, huh?
Well, I had to work that out.
I bet you did. That was amazing.
How long did that take you?
Yeah, how long did that take you to glue him into the saddle? That's what I wanted to know.
Well,
What else did you bring us?
I spent down, Ruth and I spent 2.5 months down at Brian's, and this is what I was working on down there. Plus, on my own, separate
Who's
from
Brian?
my son Brian
Ah.
and his wife Suze, and 5 kids from 8 to 17, and his wife homeschools them all.
Oh,
However, that doesn't have anything to do with Tom Tyler. But also, independent of that, I, being a fan and friend of Arto's, on my own, I just thought I would paint something for my own pleasure and for anybody that wanted to look at it. So. This doesn't work that way.
Oh, this doesn't work like the
It
other
was
one?
upside down.
And I have to tell you that this portrait just blows me away. And I can tell you that we were all deeply moved by the portrait, as was Linda when we showed it to her a few minutes ago, because her first comment was, "You captured the sparkle in his eyes." And if he had nothing else in the world, he had a sparkle in his eyes right up until the moment he decided to leave us. And that sparkle included all of his own life experiences and all the happy times he had imparted to youngsters of all ages, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I was particularly pleased that Linda liked it. And so, and it has many of his features. I probably didn't get all of the wonderful things there, but
You did very well with the stagecoach and the billabong bell and the train and the church and the buildings and the castle and that's just absolutely wonderful.
well, thank you.
And that covers not only the 90 years that we were privileged to have Arto Monaco with us on this hunk of mud, but it covers a time period that dates to 1954 and several years before that in concept until 1979, and that's how long the Land of Make-Believe was operating on again, off again, depending on what Mother Nature decided to do that spring. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. So, and
Did you spend a long time on this?
yeah, I was, like I say, I was down there 2.5 months, and I spent between these three of the things. I didn't get them finished really till I came back home. So yeah, I spent a good time on it.
It's wonderful. That the creative juices are still flowing very, very well for you, Sid Cauchi, and you know we certainly do appreciate it. I think there were arrangements made, and I was there, and I think we were on camera, when it's been decided that those comic books, maybe 1 and 2, might be for sale at some point in time right here on this property. Let me stand up and talk to Calvin.
Well, we'll show the Tom Tyler Tales #1 shortly. I've got a supply of them outside that I don't have with us. But we've been talking with the foundation and with Linda, and we've we've all agreed that we'd like the remaining copies of those Tom Tyler Tales #1 that Arto Monaco did the cover for, to be on sale here at the North Pole, with the profits going to the foundation. And then Sid has also graciously decided that maybe we can have some prints of this fantastic piece of artwork here available, again with the profits going to the foundation in Arto's memory. And Tom Tyler Tales 2 will be not only a tribute to Tom Tyler, but also be some tributes in there to our good friend Arto. And in fact, you'll see that eagle that's above Arto's head here is also on that cowboy cover, and that represents Arto and his spirit.
And those very broad wings that can fly very high, and isn't that wonderful? I had this was as big a shock and surprise to me as it was to everybody else in this room when you unveiled that beautiful portrait. I'm just amazed and thrilled by seeing that here today and seeing the way you portray the kids having a good time, and you've always enjoyed that too, haven't you?
That's right. Yeah, and Arto, I think he sort of imagined these guys peeking over his hat brim and over his shoulder and all that stuff. With, over the years, all the nice comments he's heard.
And the more I look at it, the more details I see, and I'll enjoy that, I'm sure, for years to come. The fact that perhaps some of our viewers can enjoy that for years to come will be very nice too. I want to thank you so much. Yes, what were you saying?
No, I'm just looking at the time.
Oh, the time. Well, actually, there's a show going on, and if we don't move on, you're going to be part of it. Sid, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again before we leave.
Very good.
And just as we stepped outside, the sun came out again from behind the cloud, as it should be, in honor of the people who were here, but mostly in honor of the guy we're talking about today. This is the Adirondack Cowboy Tom Tyler Tales #1, numero uno, the original comic book which we talked to you about, and here is the original exterior painting done by the late Arto Monaco. Is that cool or what? That's great, and they'll be on sale here. And right here at the North Pole, Santa's Workshop, the North Pole. If you still are desperate for a copy, I'll bet you Calvin might be able to scrounge some if you can't find one here. They're getting in short.
Better get them
They're getting in short supply. We're recording this on the 26th of June 2004. I dare say in a month or so these comics might be all gone, but if you call
Don't scare people away.
or 2 months or 3 months.
Yeah.
But I want them to know that for $50 or $60 a piece, they could get as many copies as you can find in your basement. Actually, I think there are about 300 left at this point in time, and but they won't last forever. And they are there is a great deal of North Country history that's wrapped up in this, and a lot of people are poked fun at, and you and me, we don't care, do we, Sid? Huh?
Well, we don't have any choice, I guess, because he's doing the writing.
Wouldn't it be terrible if Sid did end up being ruthless? Huh? We kid Ruthie an awful lot, but we're delighted that you folks made it up here today. We thank you for being a part of this whole story. Ain't life fun?
Well, it's our pleasure, yeah. We've gotten a lot of fun out of this project, and we hope there's more to come.
And it was nice to meet Adrian and Doug and all the folks involved today, and to see that, yeah, there are cars pulling in on this opening day, and yes, the memory of Arto Monaco lingers on. There's nothing we could do to not keep his memory alive, because it's just been so fantastic. He touched all of our lives and countless thousands besides ours, so it's neat to be a part of it for me, and I know it is for you.
That's right. Very much so. I underline all you have to say. He was an extraordinary guy.
We're going to take a walk around some more to show people in this day and age in 2004 what Santa's Workshop at the North Pole is all about, and to talk a little more about what we know of its history since July 1st, 1949. Stay with us. Again, we're recording this at Santa's Workshop, North Pole, New York, on the 26th of June 2004. Yesterday, one of my co-workers came to me and told me that it was Leon Day, and expected some kind of a reaction, and I had no clue what they were talking about until they told me it was exactly 6 months to Christmas, and Leon was Noel backwards. So we're here today singing Christmas carols and Christmas songs in honor of our good friend, the late Arto Monaco, who founded Land of Make-Believe 50 years ago, and who also designed Santa's Workshop right here at the North Pole, New York, which, by the way, has an official post office zip code, which we forgot to mention, and that came after it had been in existence a few years. So if people want things postmarked North Pole, New York, guess what? They come to Santa's Workshop to get that done. It's an absolutely perfect day for opening day, and we're delighted to be a part of it in honor of Arto Monaco. All right, we're in the reindeer barn. It needed an introduction, didn't it? We're surrounded by reindeer and Matt Stanley. How are you, Matt?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Calvin said all the Stanleys I know graduated from All Sable Central.
That's true. I mean, it's sad but true.
How did you get hooked up with a reindeer barn at Santa's Village? We want to know here at the North Pole.
Well, I started here when I was 14 years old. I won't let you know how many years ago that was. But since then, I've been working on showcast and maintenance. In the last few years, I've taken over a lot of the responsibilities of training the reindeer and helping the herd grow. And it's a really great job. I mean, the deer really respond well to interaction with people.
They like it, huh?
Oh yeah, they actually, with the people in the barn, that they get much more relaxed than if they're just out in the pasture and you're trying to do stuff with them. It's much easier to work with them when they're around people.
And kids respond to reindeer, I mean, with all the folklore, huh?
Well, I'm still a kid at heart and I respond well with them, so.
Aren't we all? Let's walk down here a little bit, because from what I understand, you got some babies.
Yep, we've got 5 little ones this year. The first one that was born was right over on...
Oh, right over here on the right.
Right over here, yep. Right over here. And then they pretty much move right down the line, yes. Yep.
Okay.
So, and then we had 2 of them born the same day.
Did you really?
Yeah. And actually right now, it's hard to tell them apart because, I mean, they all look pretty much alike. So the way we tell them apart right now is pretty much just with their mother, because they always stick with their mother at this age. But in a little while, we actually do put a microchip implant into their neck, so you can actually tell.
Oh, no kidding.
What deer is which.
Isn't that, talk about modern electronics, look at the size of the rack on this one. Isn't that incredible?
Yep, he is actually only 4 years old, believe it or not.
Wow.
They still get a lot bigger. So these two down here on the end are actually yearlings.
Okay,
Donner and
right.
Blitzen
Okay.
are actually yearlings. And that's how big their racks are already after 1 year.
That's hard to believe.
And like reindeer are unlike cattle, where cattle keep their horns for their lifetime. Reindeer, like whitetail, they lose their antlers every year, start growing a new set. The males started growing their new sets in March, and the females started growing theirs in April and May. So it's amazing how much growth they can grow in such a little amount of time.
Well, what was the learning curve for you? It sounds like you've been around these creatures almost all your life. Was there a lot to learn? Or are you?
Well, I grew up being in 4-H, and I had a herd of cattle.
Well,
So
there you
this
go.
is actually played right in very well with
Of course it
my
did.
upbringing. So, and they're actually really treated just like cattle. I mean, they're a herd animal. We're a member of ROBA, which is the Reindeer Breeders Association, and what ROBA is actually trying to do is take and get reindeer off like the exotic animal list and more towards the herd animal.
And there are some reindeer farmers here in the North Country, aren't there?
There's a few farmers in the North Country. We're obviously the biggest probably in northern New York. Down near Gloversville is where we actually got our last breeding bull from. And the gentleman down there, Pat Lavery, is actually the Eastern president of the Reindeer Association. But we have meetings once a year, and there's quite a few. It's surprising how many people herd reindeer.
It's amazing how many people grow different kinds of animals that you don't think of. Calvin and I just did a show with some people who are raising alpacas.
Yes, I know a few that are growing them around here.
Yeah,
So
and what an incredible animal they are.
They are.
They don't have the charm and the lore that reindeer have. So this is a special group.
Exactly. You can just see the look on children's faces when they look at the deer. It's amazing. So it's really great.
Just to come here for little kids or big kids is a great experience. And today we're here to honor the late Arto Monaco, who designed this place long before you were ever dreamed of. And when I was just a little boy of about 12 years old,
Wow.
this place opened in 1949. And to think that it's been going ever since is a tribute to all the people who put a lot of time and effort in, and a lot of people like you. Any of your other family members ever work here?
Actually, everybody has worked here in my family except my father.
No kidding.
Yeah. Whether one time or another, my sister was the first to start here. She was a post office person, and my brother actually ran the animal park a few years and was in showcast, and my mother worked in the office. So, I mean, pretty much everybody in my family has worked here at one time or another.
It's a family affair, and that's the way it was way back when at the land of make-believe. Back in the old days, when everybody in the community of Upper J got involved, even those that didn't work there, went there, the kids dressed up and played there all day.
Oh, right. I mean, if you look at the area, the residents around the area, I bet there's probably 3 out of every 5 people have worked here once in their life. Between Lake Placid, Wilmington, Ausable. I mean, we have people as far away as, close far away as Tupper Lake and Prue who come and work here. Which, an hour to hour and a half drive a day is quite a commitment for a lot of people. So, I met my wife here when I was 17, 18, and she was actually from Tampa, Florida, and working here. So, it's...
That's a pretty good story all by itself.
Oh, yeah. So, we attract people from all around the world, and people are just so amazed with this place.
The people send you an occasional photograph or email from elsewhere that have visited saying thank you very much.
Well, when I was actually on Showcast, there were people who would actually send me letters as the character I was, and it's really strange to have a kid send you a letter. To them, you are who you are. So
Absolutely, and that's why all the Disney characters in Disney World and Disneyland are required to stay in character all the time,
Right.
while they're anywhere around, because, hey, we're all believers. you
right.
know.
That's what we also try to talk to our employees is
Yeah.
why you're around the park, you stay in character,
Do
and
it, stay in character, play the role, and enjoy. Look at everybody. Look at the kids. These are just absolutely beautiful. Look at them.
well, by next week you'll see the little ones. Once they get more used to people, they'll be up to the fence begging for crackers, because if you go out in the pasture with them, they'll come up to you. They'll start nipping on your blue jeans. Oh yeah.
Nipping on your
Yeah.
blue jean.
So
I love it. Matt, thanks so much for talking with us
You're
and
welcome. It's been a
entertaining us
pleasure.
today. We're having a ball.
all right, have a great
good
day
life.
and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too. And the higher we climb, the greater the view at Santa's Workshop in this wonderful village at the North Pole, New York, on Whiteface Mountain. The park has expanded this year and is in the third year of a 5-year expansion plan. So at the end of the next couple of years, it should be even more spectacular. However, in spite of all the new additions, the new baby reindeer, all the other things that have been happening over the last year or so, the new rides, Santa's Workshop still has its original charm. You can, as I've been walking along here, I haven't been inside this place in, I don't know, 30 or 35 years. And as I walk around, it refreshes my own memory, and it brings me closer to my own kids with whom I came when they were very small children. So if you haven't been here in a while, come on up here. Maybe you'll find that little corner with the things that are left here in tribute of the late Arto Monaco, including those great Tom Tyler comic books, because the sale of some of those, including that tremendous Arto Monaco painting, which we hope will soon be turned into a print. Part of the profit of those sales will go to further the foundation and the memory of the late Arto Monaco.
Okay, come on, John. Let's go.
And Gordy, if you're looking for a summer job and you live nearby, you work here, you're going to be in shape when the season's over.
Just climbing. You thought we stopped here just to get a look at what we could see. No, we had to catch our breath. Sid Couchy was on the way down. He said, wait till you get to be my age. It's harder going down than going up. But this little community, for those of you who may just be visiting here, is nestled in the Adirondack Mountains. In the distance, you can see the high peaks. We're on Whiteface Mountain. We're part of the Whiteface Mountain roadway leading up to the Memorial Highway, a destination, a tourist destination for many people when they come to the North Country. With the Olympics and so on in 1980 and back in the 1930s, Lake Placid, Saranac Lake, and Whiteface Mountain, of course, are a part of Olympic lore. So if you're here, enjoy what's around you. If you plan to travel here in another year, I'm sure they'd love to have you stop by. I heard the horn blow and I went boop, boop, and we're underway now. On the train, traveling around the park just to get an idea, a kid's eye view of Santa's Workshop, Santa's Village at North Pole, New York. The reason for our coming here today, in case you haven't gathered already, is to honor a man who touched all of our lives in so many ways, and Calvin and I find ourselves talking about that even when the camera is not running. As we were walking up the last 50 feet of incline, there was a young woman, I would say in her mid-20s, in front of us, who was huffing and puffing, and her tongue was hung out down to her ankles, and she was saying to her father, I don't remember these hills being here when I came here as a kid. The father got a big kick out of it. It's just a good place, and right now we're surrounded by Mother Nature, and that's exactly the way this was designed. Arto Monaco was a genius in so many ways, but he was especially good at using nature to enhance his ideas. Look at this little tree house here. Every now and again you'll see something like a miniature waterfall, something that will capture the attention of the kids. And now Calvin and I are sitting just a few feet away from a young family, and to see the reactions of these kids as we drive through the woods reminds us of the reactions we could see from children who were enjoying the land of make-believe for the first time in 1954, 50 years ago this year. Take the trees here and put little walkways and doorways on the trees. Almost every one of the trees that's nearby is just absolutely charming and marvelous and wonderful. And to have us pick a day when the weather is perfect to be here to honor Arto Monaco on opening day, June 26, 2004, is just beyond belief. Not that we wouldn't have expected it, although we have done television shows when the weather was a little less inviting. Oh, we're going to go through a tunnel and the kids are loving it. It's a gold dust mine. Santa's musical gold dust mine. It's a creaky and squeaky train. A few gallons of WD-40 might help. I was telling Kelvin that another one of Arto Monaco's creation was Adventure Town of the Thousand Islands, where I spent a considerable portion of my misspent youth. We also had a steam train that was brought there from the estate of Henry Ford, who had built this steam train, or had it built for his grandchildren. It was an authentic steam train in miniature, and it went all the way around the park. And the engineers and conductors were retired from the New York Central Railroad, which made it even more beautiful, because in between rides, the stories they would tell, and you know, as well as being a good talker, I'm also a good listener. The stories they would tell were incredible. I wish I had recorded them way back when. Who said this train couldn't go in two directions? We've been here. You can see on the station it says North Pole, New York, elevation 1,778 feet. There's a lot of signs around here that say Merry Christmas. It's a good holiday to celebrate all through the year. And it's nice to be here in the year 2004 when owner Doug told us it's in a period of restoration. We should call it reclamation, because there were times when the future of Santa's workshop in the North Pole were in no small amount of doubt. But I think with the commitment of this young man, his young family, and many of the people we've met today, including this foundation, which is put together to honor the memory of Arto Monaco, I think Santa's workshop will be around here for, hopefully, for a long, long time to come. There's just enough of a breeze so that it's not a cold day in June, but it's cool and sunny and really quite beautiful. Nice to listen to the natural sounds, although with the squeaking and creaking you're not going to hear too many of the native bird sounds, I'll tell you. We're now passing the entrance parking lot, which is considerably more full than it was when we came here a few hours ago, about 3 hours ago. To the right is Mother Hubbard's Country Kitchen, which you've heard us mention already today. I think we're coming back to the station. Besides all the enchanting and intriguing buildings, there are several rides to keep the young folks and the older folks intrigued here at Santa's Workshop, and we're back. I forgot to holler all aboard a few minutes ago, but I hope you enjoyed the ride along with us. We came out on the balcony at Mother Hubbard's cupboard, and Calvin audaciously, tongue-in-cheek, said to Doug, "Can you do something about the view? Isn't this unbelievable?"
Absolutely
I
breathtaking.
don't know if they got views like this in Oswego, but I guess they do. Huh?
We have wonderful sunsets, I'll have to say, but this is breathtaking.
This
No
is
question.
where it's all about, and today is where it's at this wonderful place nestled in the Adirondack Mountains. And as we walked through and captured you just after you captured some ketchup for some, we saw Avia in the kitchen working very hard.
Oh yes, absolutely. Trying to cover all the bases here.
It's trying to cover a lot of things
No
today.
question, no question.
But we're delighted to be here. And Calvin said the last time he and the late Bob Venn were here many years ago, talking to Bob Rice, and he talking about his father, Julian, before him, who was part of this from the very beginning. Yeah, Christmas is not necessarily what we've seen today, but it's the center of everything you do. It's the reason you're here.
Well, to be frank, we remember Christ was the beginning of this whole of everything in our world, and in my belief, we remember that Christ is the beginning of Christmas, and we represent him here with our nativity pageant every day, and it's in a state of mind and in our hearts as well, and so we absolutely, it's at the core of what we do every day, and this just kind of is an evolution from a lighter side of things and so on, but it's very important to us to remind folks that that's where it all began, and how important it is to preserve that and to teach and keep that alive. And we obviously need more and more of that, especially in light of the things happening in the world today.
Boy, you got that right. Wow. You have got to be a little bit encouraged. I know every opening day is faced with just a small amount of trepidation, wondering, if we build it, will they come?
Absolutely, that's true.
Well, they're coming. The weatherman has shone down upon us. We've had some delightful conversations, Calvin and I, on camera and off camera today, with people who've been part of the history of this place and of Land of Make Believe and all the other theme parks within hundreds of miles of here.
Sure.
You have to be saying to yourself, yeah, this is okay.
It's fantastic. I really feel it in my heart, but I also, there's a kind of a, it's hard to put into words. I don't know. It's just a wonderful feeling, and it's heartwarming to see folks coming and supporting this place and allowing it to continue and have a future. And again, the cast and the staff here deserve all the credit. I want to say that on camera. These folks are so dedicated, working long hours into the night, not just the last week or two. Year-round. They really take care of this place and take care of the people that come here, and we just all love it, and it's in our hearts, and we're just really believe in what we're doing here. So and again, thank you all for your support as well, because this is helping keep the dream alive and send the message. So
it's this place is not insulated in any way from its surroundings. We talked with a young man by the name of Matt Stanley up in the reindeer barn.
Yes.
Matt's been working here. Of course, we know his family and his family's family.
Oh, yeah.
He's been working here since he was 14 years old.
Yes.
And just the fact that we asked him to comment on his association with this place was a thrill for him, and it was a genuine thrill.
No question. Matt is just a tremendous man. He's learned an awful lot from recently the late Tom Patnaud, who was a living and is still a legend here, kind of in a similar realm to Arto Monaco. He was with us for 50 plus years, and he was starting his 51st season, and we recently lost Tom.
Isn't that amazing?
And he was our reindeer trainer. He brought the reindeer back from Alaska, flew on the plane that brought the reindeer back. So it's really a piece of history. And the guy was a living legend and is now gone, but only in being, not in our hearts and our minds. He's was a treasure and will always be remembered.
As is true of Upper J, the folks in this greater Wilmington region either have worked here or know somebody who worked here. And we said to Matt, did anybody else in your family work here? And he said, I think my father is the only one who didn't.
Amazing. Yes, it's interesting you say that because our office manager, business manager, Stephanie Gates, her mom and dad were young people that worked here, met, fell in love, and had a daughter. Now she works here, and now Stephanie's daughter works here, and so on. So we have generations working here, and people coming and families coming and going. But there just seems to be an ebb and flow and a kind of a rhythm here that people are keeping the dream alive, and it's a great first job for young people as well as a wonderful experience in supporting the community. So
you know, it's a love story all by itself, but it's generated love stories. Matt said, I met my wife here.
Yeah,
Where
that's true.
was she from? Florida or some other state?
Absolutely.
So you know,
isn't it amazing? Yeah, it's fascinating.
I bet you marriages have been conducted here over
They
the
have
years.
actually. Recently, we've just done some weddings here with Santa kind of being the best man, and and so on and so on.
Come on.
Absolutely, and then they would take
You gotta love it.
right off in a sleigh that says "Just Married" into the sunset and so on. So we really enjoy that part of it. It's a kind of a unique situation, and we get a kick out of it.
You know what? I don't mind telling you, and we're not just patronizing you because you invited us out here on this balcony, but we like your vision, we like your energy, we like your enthusiasm, and I think with all of those things here, you can't fail.
Well, I hope you're right. I believe you to be correct, and I'm a very optimistic, positive person, and always want to believe the best in people and humanity, and God willing, we'll be here for hundreds of years, and I'm going to do everything I can to see that happens.
And we appreciate the fact that you have chosen today to honor the late Arto Monaco and to maybe take a little corner of this property and perpetuate that honor for a long, long time to come. It would please me if I lived long enough to see a microcosm, miniature land of make-believe here someday. That would be beautiful.
With the blessing of the Monaco family, we certainly hope that that's a reality, and we hope that it's more than a microcosm. We'd like to see it become another themed attraction similar to what we have here today on some of the real estate that we have. Fortunately, we have a fair amount of property to work with.
Oh, you do? I didn't realize how much extra.
200 and some acres. I can't remember, 250 acres or thereabouts. And so we have quite a bit of real estate to continue to work with, and we have lots of short, mid-range, and long-term plans for that real estate. But one of the most important things would be to redevelop, and the rebirth, if you will, of Arto's Land of Make-Believe on this property to work with Santa's Workshop and get the two together again.
You realize as soon as you started saying that, the sun came out.
You see what happens? That's happened to us 2 or 3 times today, as if to underline our comments. I don't think we're running this show at all.
Not at all. We're all
I think we lost track of it a long time ago.
That's so
but
true.
you know what? That dream is already being espoused by the members of the foundation and the trust and the Monaco family.
Good.
Because when they heard everyone talking about it today, their eyes lit up.
Good. Well,
And I think that was pretty special.
that, along with a museum dedicated to Arto's works and so on here on the facility, we think this would create the optimum situation for the most folks to be able to see his contribution and his works, and we hope that they might agree with us. And so we're hoping, we're setting aside some property and the potential for some development to allow that to happen here, assuming the family is going along with that. But that's our plan. So.
And they will. I'm sure our viewers know how many things, not just concepts, but how many things like this theme park were created by Arto Monaco throughout his tremendously multifarious career.
No question.
He had that drawing hand and that great mechanical engineering genius of his, connected with over 2,000 toys and games.
Amazing.
We've shown almost every one of them and heard all the stories on our programs, our numerous programs that we did with Arto. And quite a few people have asked me after he died, what's going to happen to all that stuff? And if some of it can be preserved right here.
Well, we agree 100%. It's so important to A, inventory what's out there, B, hope that we might, through the foundation, acquire what isn't in the hands of the Monaco family, whether it be on loan or is a gift or something, because, again, this guy made an impact across the country. Theme parks in Colorado and New Hampshire, all over. We know this. You know this because you know more about it than I am, sure. But this guy was a genius, and it's critical that we preserve his works and do it in a place where the most people can see it and appreciate it and understand it. And we think this would be a natural fit for that because he was one of the original founders of this property.
Well, and what would be more natural than that? And the last times we talked with Arto, he was always planning. I mean, he had planned to live like Methuselah for 800 or 900 years. And unfortunately, a lot of things that he created left this area.
I know.
When the Land of Make-Believe closed, a lot of the things in the Land of Make-Believe went to the Gaslight Village and went to many other places.
Yes.
And his dream was to get some of that stuff back here.
Well, it's interesting you say that because we have been in communication with some of the folks that have some of his works being used, and some other things have been mothballed and so on. But we have made some inquiries in hopes that we might be able to retrieve some of those things and incorporate them in a long-term plan here. You
got a mission, and it's not a mission impossible.
No, not at all. I'm a pretty positive guy, but I'm also self-assured enough and realistic enough, and I think I have the ability to help people understand some of my concepts that might be important and that they might be worthwhile. And so I'm feeling pretty good that we, over the course of some time, we'll be able to do just what we're talking about.
We hope by this time next year that there will be some kind of a memorial, statue or a plaque or something to start us down that road that we've been touching on the periphery today.
Today's the first day in that mission. And that's why we decided to have a commemorative day here to raise some funds, raise awareness. And we have a number of different ideas on the drawing board, if you will. And we haven't chosen anything, and we're working with other bodies and so on. So it'll be a collective effort, if you will. Again, we'll play our part. Other folks will play important roles as well. But we definitely hope a year from now to be able to have something solid that you'll be able to come back and visit, and everyone will be able to see and enjoy for a long time. And that'll be at the beginning of maybe the next phase, or the second phase might be the development of that museum, an actual structure on the property, and then the third phase may be the development of the Land of Make-Believe. And it'll all time properly in accordance with budget and planning and our ability to have time to commit to it and so on.
We wish you the very best with all of that. Again, we thank you so much for allowing us to come here with our hometown cable cameras today. We've captured an hour and a half of pure fun and excitement, not just for us, but for those little kids we just watched on the train.
50 hours.
Oh yes, hours of operation and days of operation, as we're doing this on opening day.
Excellent. Well, we're running 7 days a week through Labor Day weekend. It runs from 9:30 till 4:30 p.m. every day. Even if there's a little mist in the air, we still operate. We also run weekends through Columbus Day, which is a wonderful time with the leaves changing. And we have a wonderful time at 5 weekends preceding Christmas, which we have general admission and we have weekend packages available. So don't hesitate to check in with us. Is it okay to use a phone number or not?
Yeah, by all means.
518-946-2212. 518-946-2212. And one of our staff members would be glad to talk to you and answer any questions you might have about any of the services we provide here. And hopefully you'll come and see us and have a ball, and just like the kids here today. So,
and there is a website.
There is a website. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. www.northpoleny.com. www.northpoleny.com.
Thanks again, Doug. Thanks to Calvin for holding that camera on his shoulder.
It's a pleasure.
For the last several hours.
Thank you, sir.
To all those people associated with this program and with Arto Monaco's past and future, a special thanks to Sid Couchy, who was just our beloved friend, who started with Richie Rich, and look where he is now, 85 years young, still going strong, thanks to support from the people who love his work, and his wife Ruth from all these years.
Yes.
And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.